I'm back in the US now. It's Thanksgiving, and I should be happy and energized. But honestly, it's taken me almost 2 weeks just to gather the motivation to press record. For 13 days, I've felt like an empty shell. You clicked on this video because the title says, How the Philippines Broke Me. And it did. Being caught in the super typhoon, being cut off from the world for 7 days with no power, it brought me to a place I haven't been in a very long time. I lost my drive, my spirit. I questioned everything about the life I was building. But this isn't about the struggle. This is about my expat wake-up call. The typhoon stripped everything away, except the most important thing, the incredible resilient kindness of the Philippine people. They didn't just survive. They gave from the little they had, and in doing so, they helped me heal. This 40-minute video is a full, honest story of the trauma, the logistics of getting my rescue cat to the US, and the profound lessons I've learned. Stick around because I want to show you the footage from the aftermath, why I missed my flight twice, and the reasons I'm planning on returning. So happy Thanksgiving from here in the US. I had to come back here basically for work purposes and also, well, to celebrate Thanksgiving with family and friends. So I am here in the backyard. Mushu is around here somewhere. But anyhow, he's around here somewhere. But some may be asking, why am I here without Melinda? Well, she's back in the Philippines right now because it's almost still really, really difficult to get a visa for her to come here, which is interesting because we have some friends that have been able to get their visa. Who's back there? You see right back there. Oh, you can try to climb the tree. He's like, what are you doing? We have some friends that have been able to get their visa, fiance visa, wife visa, and I was trying the other one, within like 6 months. But then we have other friends that it's been 3 years and they still don't have their visa yet to come here. So I guess it's kind of a crapshoot. So who knows? Anyhow. So my purpose for this video is to talk about the typhoon that we had just 3 weeks ago in the Philippines, the two typhoons, and the difficulties it took. The difficulties it took to get from island to island with a cat, and all that entailed with the typhoon, the natural disasters, and everything. So to get Mushu to Cebu, it was quite an adventure, quite a trek, because I will not stick him underneath a plane in the Philippines or anywhere for that matter, because there's no guarantee that the plane is going to be pressurized, let alone air conditioned or anything like that. So with the noise, and we've all been stuck on a plane in the Philippines on the tarmac for hours, and to risk that with him, he's my rescue from Manila. To risk that with him is not worth it. So the only possible way is to travel by ferry from Negros to Cebu. I could have gone the Manila route like I did when I brought him from Manila, but that's a 20-hour boat ride on the to-go. And when I did that, he was stuck in this really small room with literally 9 dogs in their cages, and one of the dogs literally chewed through his cage. Like, I have pictures and videos. I'll have to find them. Maybe I'll post them here or something, of the dog chewing through his cage, literally through the plastic of the cage. Thankfully, I had reserved the suite up on the top, so I had my own room and was able to save him from that experience, because he soiled his cage. His little pee pads and his blanket that he had in there, he soiled that. So thankfully I was able to save him from that experience. But so that's why Cebu was the only option. And thankfully, Korean Air has a flight going directly from Cebu to Incheon, Seoul, South Korea. And with the typhoon, I was supposed to leave midnight, November 3rd, 4th. So Monday, Tuesday. But with the typhoon coming, we had arrived basically took the 3-hour, her sister Hannah has a truck. And so we piled the kids in the car, their mom in the car, Mama Lolita, and we all drove the 3 hours it took to get from Bacolod to San Carlos on the other side of Negros. And we had gotten there, and even though the typhoon hadn't even hit Cebu yet, the ferries were canceled. So basically, I wasn't able to make my flight, and we had to turn back around, make the 3 hour trip back through the mountains again. And with the typhoon, we basically it was a horrible, unexpected experience, because I was supposed to be back here in America on the 4th of November, and it is now Thanksgiving Day, and I just got here a little while ago, 13 days ago. So, with it being Thanksgiving, I wanted to reach out and say thank you, especially to my friends and family for all their love and support. And I'm going to make a video. I'm going to post a video about that probably tomorrow or the next day, about that whole experience. But I wanted to thank my friends and family here in the Philippines, or in the Philippines and here in America, for helping me get back, especially the Philippine people and the amazing generosity and friendship and everything that they showed in getting us back here. So I forgot how cold the winters were here. Mushu's just chilling over there, basking in the sun, watching the birds, and all that fun stuff. So when we had first gotten to San Carlos and found out that the ferries were canceled, I asked, hey, is there any private boats we could take? Because we could literally see Toledo, just literally, it's an hour ferry right away, maybe an hour and a half. You literally see it. And I'm like, I just need to get to that island. Is there any private boats, or can I get a private plane or something? And nothing, everything was closed. And so we had to head back. Like I said, had to head back to the mountains and embrace that we're going to be stuck there during the typhoon, and most likely without power, which we were. We were without power for 5 days, without internet for 7 days. Thankfully, there was a neighbor just the next street over. They have like 10 solar panels or something like that. And so one of the days, right after the typhoon, they offered for everyone to come over and recharge their rechargeable fans, things like that. We have a fan that I bought, and that when charged, it even on the lowest setting, it lasts like 10 hours, something like that. But so they let people come over and charge their cell phones and use their internet, because I think they have Starlink, which I've thought about getting. We have Globe there in the Philippines, but anyhow, so I was really grateful of them, to let us and let everyone in the neighborhood charge there the day or 2 days that they were letting people do that, allowing people to do that. That was very generous of them and very nice of them, which I'll get into later. Something that I definitely want to do in the future. So I think one of the biggest things for me was it was a wake up call. I'd been in the Philippines during typhoons and things like that, but I was in Alabang in Metro Manila working, and so in the high-rise condo complex I lived in, we had a backup generator, even though we had a typhoon pass right over us, and literally flooding. I have a video of it flooding in the barangay next to us, and I don't want to call them the slums, but they basically were literally right outside my window. I could see the flooding and the houses just being washed away almost. But we had a backup generator there, so it didn't really affect me. But being this time without power, without water, thankfully we have a water pump, a well that I had put in, drilled down in the back of our house. Just being without that for 5 days, it was a humongous wake up call to me, for me, in realizing, is this the kind of lifestyle that I would be okay living with? Could I handle this sort of thing? And being a white guy from the U.S., I broke out in rashes like crazy, like places I don't even want to talk about. I was getting rashes, and which is really weird, because I've lived in places that are humid and hot. I grew up in Maryland. I've lived in Florida. I've lived in Japan. I've lived in Thailand. I've lived in Hong Kong. So I've lived in places where there's that kind of humidity, but I don't know what it is about the Philippines. When I was in Manila, I didn't break out in rashes like that. I don't know if it's the salt in the air, but see, again, when I was in Manila in Alabang, I had air conditioning, and so maybe that was the key factor on why I was breaking, because I break out in rashes on my hand even. Just really strange, but yeah, it was very interesting. So anyhow, thankfully, one of the the things that helped me, at least, because I'm sure Melinda's maybe used to that, but we have this big, huge, like it's probably half the size of this thing I'm in right now, maybe a fourth of it, but we have this big mosquito net that kind of fits over a bed. I'll have to post a picture here of it. But it's just a big mosquito net that fits over bed, so I would put that outside, and that would help me sleep at night. With the air, of course, then it would start to rain, and that didn't really, obviously, help. So I'd have to go back inside with no fan. It was very difficult for me because I have a hard time sleeping when it's hot, when it's overly hot. And unfortunately, that brought me back to a very dark place in my life that I had not been to in a long time, and that was drinking. To kind of forget about where I was, to forget about what was going on, and to pass the time. I don't remember the last time I had been that sober in my life, because it'd been a long time since I had a drink. And regretfully, to go back to that in that situation was a huge, I don't want to say wake up call, but realization to me. And unfortunate, in my mind, in a way, a failure to myself, that I had to go resort in my mind to that dark place again to get through it. And with that, it made me question myself and my ability on if I could live like that, with those possibilities of, again, typhoons, natural disasters and stuff, or would I have the strength in the future to, now having gone through that and having fallen into that hole, would I now have the strength to see that and realize that if this was to happen again the next time, could I have the strength to not go down that path again? A lot of realizations, a lot of eye-opening moments for me, during this whole event. That's why it's taken me, almost 2 weeks to compile myself. I mean, I've seen other expats, other, people post videos on YouTube, the day it happened, the morning after, talking about it days after. But with me, I couldn't, because I don't know how to explain it. In a way, I was just empty. I had lost something. I've always been motivated in myself to do stuff, to stay busy, to fix stuff, to help out where I could. But for whatever reason, this really hit me in a way that I didn't expect, and don't know how to explain it, other than it has just taken me this long to get past it, to finally compile myself enough to talk about it. When I got back 2 weeks ago tomorrow, I had a trip already planned to go to Nashville with my late twin brother's son, Brendan. We went to go see the Seahawks and Titans play, which was great. It was a great experience. It was fun to be away for a couple of days. Unfortunately, leaving Mushu for a couple of days was not fun, because I guess he was crying for me while I was gone. He's like my shadow, literally. But it was good to get away from that. It helped me compile myself a little more. But it's taken me these almost 2 weeks to get back into, I don't want to say the groove of things, to actually talk about it, but I guess maybe to realize, and in a way come to grips with the reality of what happened and everything that it entailed, and all the lessons. He's following the birds. see him. To accept and to come up with answers for myself. Is this something that, again, is this something that I could live with, that I could do? Could I handle, living like that? I've lived in Thailand. I've lived in the Philippines for years now. And I've always been one that has always wanted to, I wouldn't call myself a prepper, but I've always wanted to be prepared for something like this, and to have this hit me like it did unexpectedly, because I expected to be on a flight back to the US. But then the shock of it just hit me, and then bam, 5 days without power, other than the time we got to charge. But it was just an eye opener for me. Can I handle this? Can I do this? Is this the lifestyle that I can handle, that I want? And it made me realize that if and when I do decide if the Philippines is where I want us to live permanently, that I would need a few things for definite. For one, solar. I definitely need solar. Not only for us to have air conditioning. Air conditioning is another one because of the rashes, for whatever reason. Solar, because not only for us to have a fan on or whatever, but also for our community, and having our neighbor who was freely willing to offer, their solar to the whole neighborhood. Everyone, come over, charge your devices, charge your fans, charge your batteries. That to me really stood out to me, and I want to be able to do that for others in this kind of a situation. Not only solar, but for instance, like a backup generator, a power bank, like those big, huge. I know one of the YouTubers that we've followed for a while, Gino and Dazzle up north. They have. I know he posted a while ago. He has this power charger thing. It's. I want to call it an eco something or other. Okay, I tried to find it, but I couldn't find it. So maybe Gino, maybe for you see this, you can comment what it was that you got exactly. It was like it's a black box with blue on it. But anyhow, so basically it's something you charge, and I believe they also have ways you can charge it solar, but it's like a battery backup. It lasts for half a day or something like that, where you can charge your phone and your laptop or your internet and your fan, stuff like that. But anyhow, I'll try to post a picture over here if I can find it on Lazada. Okay, I found it. EcoFlow is what it's called. EcoFlow, I believe, is the one that Gino and Dazzle have up. They're in Aklan, which I believe is up north of Iloilo. But along with solar and having our water pump that we have in case of natural disasters like this, again, for not only for us, again, but for the neighborhood, for our friends and family, as well as stockpiling non-perishables, canned foods, tuna, stuff like that, non-perishables for emergencies. I've always been a fan of advocate for having food storage just in case of an emergency, because I'm really keen on keeping up with what is going on in Southeast Asia, especially with China, Taiwan, the Philippines, Japan, especially right now with what's going on there with China, Thailand, Vietnam, Brunei, all of that. So it's not looking good. So let's just say that being prepared is definitely on top of my mind right now, especially living there. So again, thankfully, our neighbors a couple streets over allowed us and everyone to use their internet and charge our devices, because I was then able to correspond with my family and my work and let them know my situation, and then try to again rebook my flights, which I had to do twice. That was quite a hassle, but thankfully it did cost quite a bit to rebook, but it is what it is. And yeah, evidently my flight, even though we went to, he's going to jump up here now. My flight did end up leaving the night of the 13th, 14th, even though the typhoon, I guess, hit at 5 a.m. It hit Cebu. My flight did leave at midnight, 5 hours before it made landfall. So I guess if we would have gone the day before, if we would have gone the day before and caught the ferry, we could have stayed in Cebu the night, and then I could have made my flight. But it is what it is. It's all a learning experience, and I'm grateful for it because I learned from it. And I have lots of, what are you looking at? Lots of stuff. So with Typhoon Tino, we had walked around the day after, taken some videos, and we were some of the lucky ones. We live in a pretty brand new neighborhood, newly built houses, and all of that. And I want to say about 10 houses maybe lost their roofs, totally blown off. And maybe I can put a little short video here that I posted. Totally blown off, and walking around, seeing the devastation. Trees, huge trees just snapped in half, and lives just changed forever. It was pretty eye-opening and pretty shocking. You see stuff like that. Being from America and the U.S., you see that on video. With the earthquake that happened in Cebu weeks before, you see that on the news and on YouTube and on all of that. But to actually see it firsthand and to experience it, and to see the look on people's faces was actually pretty amazing. Because you would think that they would have some despair and loss, but just the what's the word I'm looking for? Not continuity, but resilience. The resilience of the people of the Philippines was just amazing. How they just came together as a community, watching out for one another and helping where they could, in any way that they could. It was astonishing and humbling for me to witness, because I wonder if it would be like that here in America. And I'm sure you have places like Nebraska, Tennessee, stuff like that, places that have tornadoes and earthquakes, and then hurricanes down in Florida. South Carolina just happened a while ago. Do our communities come together like that? Do we have that kind of resilience within our community, within our family, our close-knit friends and things like that? It was amazing to see that in the Philippines, and it was very inspiring, which has, I think, helped me to get back to normal in a way. I've been watching a lot of inspirational videos, a lot of motivational videos lately, and that's helped me to kind of get back on track with myself, if that makes any sense. So one of my main concerns right after Tino happened was, just around the corner, there's this guy who had a farm. He has passed away, but he had a farm where he had a whole bunch of chickens, goats, and all of that. His son was watching after it, after his father had passed. And anyhow, they had goats, a bunch of chickens, and they also had this orange, or it's not orange, they had this white and black cat that I named Oreo, which reminded me of my late twin brother's cat, Oreo, who's here. She's big, fat, fluffy, long hair. But this little cat, Oreo, reminded me of him. Anyhow. And so I was worried about this cat. So I went, and I have a video of it. I went to where his farm was. It's all leveled now. I mean, there was a little shed, propped up partly by the trees that were still standing, but it was all just flattened. Everything was just gone. And my worry was that Oreo, something had happened to him. And I looked for an hour for him, and I couldn't find him. I found the dogs. I found the chickens running around, the goats. But I couldn't find Oreo anywhere. And so I was really discouraged, but thankfully the next morning, so 2 days after, I went early in the morning and just drove right up, and then all of a sudden I heard this meow, meow, and Oreo came running out from underneath the rubble. And so I grabbed him, took him in my arms, and we went back to our place. And I remember when the farmer was still alive, when we'd visit, he said that we could take him. We could take Oreo if we wanted to, but we never did. So yeah, he's now with our plethora of cats that we have. our little cat sanctuary. On that note, the morning after Typhoon Tino came through, there were 4 neighborhood kids that came by. I was inside cleaning, and Melinda was outside sweeping. And these 4 kids came by with this cardboard box, and I was like, "What's going on?" And I have actually a video of it. So I went out front there, and they opened the box, and there were 4 kittens inside, 3 white and orange, and 1 gray striped. And they were just like, "We knew that you guys would take care of them. We don't know what happened to the mom. Maybe she got lost in the typhoon somewhere." But these 4 kittens there was evidently a 5th one, a black kitten, that had gotten so frightened that when they tried to get him, he ran right off into the bushes, and we couldn't find him. We looked. But so we took those 4 in, as well as a couple days later, Melinda was walking around delivering empanadas and muffins that she had made, and she found another orange and white kitten, literally trapped underneath a bunch of debris that had piled up. She has a video of that, so maybe she could post that. But so that's 5 kittens and then Oreo, so six cats that we were thankful and blessed to have rescued after the typhoon, and we'll still keep looking for that black one for sure. So a couple days after the typhoon, we actually went to SM Mall, and it was quite an experience to witness, because the mall had power back on by then, and there were thousands of people gathered at the mall, just sitting on the floor, charging their devices using the free Wi-Fi that they had there at the mall. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of power strips all daisy chained together, and then just countless hundreds, thousands of devices plugged into them. I just was like, this is such a big fire hazard. I mean, I have pictures of it, but it was pretty crazy. But then again, what do you do? They had air conditioning, they had power, they had internet, and so it's really the only place people could go, because again, it was at some places over a week before they got power. So, but it was definitely a very humbling experience. But anyhow, I'm getting off track here a little bit. So my main purpose for this video is my frustration with the situation, and most of all with myself, with my lack of motivation. I mean, I offered my help where I could and when I could, but I was almost like something got stripped from me, like I was an empty shell. That's why, again, I didn't make any videos. And one of the most frustrating things, I think probably one of the tipping points for me, was when I went to church services the Sunday, and the pastor got in front of the group after everyone else had talked, got in front of the group and stood there and looked to me directly in the eyes. And basically, at least how I felt, he was calling me out, telling me I needed to, in a way, almost exhaust my savings to help financially the people, to sell things of mine, to give up things, material things, to provide financially. And that's, I think, what made me pissed off the most, was that he was looking directly at me, calling me out, not by name, but I mean, you could tell people around me were getting uncomfortable. I could see them shifting in their seats out of the corner of my eye. They were getting uncomfortable with what he was saying, to the point that it doesn't take, I got up and left. I just got up and left and didn't go back. It takes a lot to get me upset and to get me mad. And I don't remember the last time I was upset that much, but that pissed me off to have a pastor do that. And I don't question, I've always been faithful. I've always had religion in my life. Yes, I've had my time away from God at times, and I don't question God for this. It just makes me realize the fault and shortcomings of man. Judge me how you want on that. But it just, with everything going on, with all the help that we all offered around to help rebuild and to help where we could, to have that experience just really, anyhow, it just really pissed me off. So I don't want to get into it much more than that. But then on the opposite side, even though having that experience, going back and seeing the graciousness of everyone in the neighborhood, everyone in the community, how everyone came together, helping to clean and lift people back up, offering literally the shirts off their backs, shoes off of their feet. And it was just humbling to see that and to experience that, and the community of the people of the Philippines. And I've seen that in Thailand. I've seen that in Hong Kong. I remember being in Hong Kong, and just one moment I'm walking around a neighborhood where there's dirt floors, no electricity, and then I look up and I see the skyscrapers in the background, and this lady, just walking by, she offers oranges off of her tree, and she has nothing, dirt floors, and she just offers us oranges from her tree. It was so amazing and so humbling that there are people, and reassuring that there are people. I think you hear it all the time, that it reinstills my faith in humanity, that people can be like this. It's amazing. The people are so gracious and so kind and giving and selfless. It's wonderful to behold in a situation like this, where there's so much devastation, but there's so much unity in, the community, family, and friends. It's just humbling. So we ended up making 3 trips in total to San Carlos to try to get to Cebu. Again, the first one on the 3rd and 4th for that flight, and then I tried again that next Saturday to go, and we had Hannah drive us again. We called ahead to make sure the ferries were running, and we go through the mountains, and we pull up to the port, and literally everybody is getting ready to board, and the Coast Guard called in and said, nope, canceled. Everything's stopped. It was still, partly cloudy skies. You could see blue. The sun was out. But because of the new typhoon coming through, they decided to close everything. And so I had to cancel my flight again. So we headed back to Bacolod and had to go through another typhoon. And that was an experience also in itself. Again, having had Cebu go through its earthquake, and then now 2 typhoons back to back, it was pretty crazy. But I think it was actually after the second typhoon is when we went to SM Mall and saw, all the power strips and everything lined up. But yeah, that was pretty crazy. But evidently, finally, we went on the Sunday, the 16th. And so we stayed the night, Sunday night, and then Monday morning, woke up early, and the airport was, I think, experience for sure. So we got to the airport that night. During the day, we'd walked around and stuff like that, but we'd gotten to the airport, and I had actually booked the hotel. The hotel was a fun thing. So we had one hotel, but then they sold out, so we had to go basically across the street to another hotel, literally across the street. But so I booked that for Melinda for that night, so she could stay and then leave to go back the next day. So Mushu and I get to the airport Monday, and they're like, "Oh, you're missing a paper." I'm like, "What the heck?" No, we went to like 4 or 5 different government offices in Bacolod to get all of his paperwork that he needed to come here. But they're like, "No, you need quarantine paper." And I'm like, "A quarantine paper?" And so thankfully, even though it was late at night, there was a quarantine officer still in the airport. It's interesting because they brought they brought Mushu and I into the office, and they didn't even look at Mushu. I didn't even take him out of his cage, his carrier. I have a little fabric carrier. They didn't even take him out of that, and he's hunting a bird right now. He's stalking a bird. There's some birds up there. Anyhow, so they didn't even bring him out of his carrier, but they just 30 minutes later they signed the papers and gave it to me, and we were through security and all that. But it's quite an experience. Maybe I'll make a video on what it's like to bring a pet from the Philippines to America and back, because a dog is totally different. A dog, from what I understand, is 10 times worse. So much stuff you have to do for a dog. With a cat, it's all he needs is his microchip, his rabies shot, a health certificate, and I guess a quarantine paper. And that's all they need. So funny. But anyhow, a dog, I guess you need to get blood samples for the dog. Get the blood has to be sent to America, has to be processed by the America laboratory, and then sent back, and all of that. But I've just heard horror stories about people who have done that and just had a ball of a time trying to get their dog from the Philippines or anywhere in Southeast Asia to America, because there's so many. Sorry, he was jumping up. So many regulations you have to go through. Hi. Yeah, hi, I know. Something like that. Okay. Okay. Yeah. See? He's my baby. Go see. Yeah. So it took forever to get him here. We had our 5-hour flight from Cebu to Incheon, which is an amazing airport. I love Incheon Airport. They have these little rooms called quiet rooms, I guess, where they have little beds that you can kind of sleep in. So I was able to get him out of his carrier, and we could, sleep for the 14 hours. We had a 14-hour layover in Incheon, Seoul, South Korea, but and then 11 hours directly to Salt Lake City. Delta Airlines has gone downhill. I used to work for Delta. I used to do IT for Delta, and their service and their attitude has just gone downhill. Korean Air is still amazing. I love Korean Air. They're great. So I think next time, if I ever was to do this again, I would not take Delta directly from Seoul to the US. I would make sure I was on Korean Air, and then take Delta from within the US to wherever I needed to go, because Korean Air is just so much better. I used to love Delta. They used to be great, but not anymore. And I'm kind of getting off point again. I've had my challenges with Melinda, especially with the visa thing. The divorce took 3 years for her divorce recognition from her ex-husband, who's from Seattle. That took forever and a day. Cost way too much, but that's finally final. So I've had my frustration with her family, especially her brother, or younger brother, and people from the Philippines, like the lady who literally cut in front of me in line in immigration. Anyhow, I've learned one of the things I think I've learned the most about this whole experience is the value of time. How fleeting time is. You hear that all the time. But how vulnerable time can be. How to appreciate time. Because, you think about it, in 60 seconds from now, I can't have those 60 seconds back. You can't have those 60 seconds back, on how valuable and important each moment is that we have. And especially with a little one like this. Anyhow, thank you for listening to my little rant, my little story. I've always loved the people of the Philippines. The kindness I felt, they didn't just make me feel welcome, they made me feel seen, if that makes sense. I've been to 22 countries, and I think the Philippines is the place I've felt the most warmth, and again, kindness and welcoming. and a sense of family. I mean, it could be a total complete stranger and you just feel welcome. The smile they give, the energy, the warmth they give off is just amazing. I mean, this was a wake up call for me. This natural disaster, being there, was a wake up call and a realization for me. I mean, I'll be going back soon. Melinda's there. I'll be going back to Thailand, to the Philippines, to Japan. But I'm grateful for the experience. Again, you see it on TV, but you don't realize it until you actually live through it. And coming to the realizations that I've come to, the acceptance that I've come to, it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. I mean, Philippine people have this way of caring for you, even if they don't know you. And that touched me deeply. And Thailand and the Philippines have taught me the kindness that you don't need a lot. It's about giving from your heart, even though you may have so little. It's about giving so much and giving what you can with a smile and a warm heart. Being in the Philippines reminded me that no matter how tough life gets, it showed me what resilience really looks like. How they band together, neighbors, strangers. The sense of community is astonishing and amazing to behold. Their positivity helped me find my own peace in my own way, my own strength again. Through all this, in the Philippines, I learned that sometimes the greatest gifts come from the simplest moments. A smile, a greeting, a stranger helping out without even being asked. Thank you again for watching. Before I go, I want to say something from my heart. To the people of the Philippines, thank you. Your kindness is different. It's the kind of kindness that doesn't ask who you are, where you're from, or what you've been through. It just shows up. It meets you with a smile. It treats you like family, even when you're a stranger. Because when you're fighting the battles inside yourself, sometimes all it takes is a warm smile, one small gesture, one moment of genuine care to remind you that the world is still good, and the world still has good in it. And that's what these moments in the Philippines have given me. These moments tested my resolve, gave me hardships, but also helped heal me from me. Moments that made me feel seen, welcomed, and safe. Moments that reminded me that kindness is still alive in this world. So to the people of the Philippines, thank you for your warmth, your joy, your strength, and your hearts. I will carry your kindness with me for the rest of my life, and I will see you again soon.